I'm Becky Brower, and I'm a Sendy mom. Welcome to the Sendy Mom Podcast. Welcome to the Sendy Mom Podcast. I am really excited to be here with my friend Allison Stratton, and we know each other from her son.
Piano.
I teach piano to him. Yep. Allison is an ultramarathon runner.
Yep.
Does a lot of trail running. So we're going to get really into that. And she's super Sendy. I've been reading this book called The Comfort Crisis. Have you heard of that book? Okay. So in the book, they're talking about like how we have made things so comfortable for ourselves that we don't push ourselves to do hard things anymore. Right. And so he talks about a misogi. Have you ever heard of a misogi?
No.
It's a Japanese word that means to push yourself and to do hard things, basically. And it's something that you try to do that you have basically a 50% chance of actually doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's the first rule. And the second rule is you can't die. So
it's a good rule to have.
Yes, it's a very good rule to have.
If you only have a 50% chance, you definitely want to rule that part out.
Make sure that you're going to live. And I think that's what you've done.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I wanted to interview you, because I think that's really helpful for the people who listen to this podcast to know that you can do really hard things.
Absolutely can.
Without killing yourself.
Yeah, without doing that.
Exactly. And then why we do those things, and what it does for us.
Right.
So I'm excited to kind of get into that. But before we start, let me just give me a little bit of background. Tell me where you grew up and the kind of family you grew up in. And
okay, so I grew up just in Holiday, Utah, so not too far from here. I was the youngest of 4 girls. My mom was a marathon runner growing up. My dad worked really hard. If you ever want to talk finances, my dad's the guy.
Yeah.
But also not someone who was super relatable for me. There were a few things my dad could talk about, and I would say those things were finances, golf, and church. If you could talk about one of those 3 things, you had his ear.
Right.
If you couldn't, there wasn't much to relate with.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't that the truth? The challenge is listening to somebody and pulling out
some commonality between the two,
which could be kind of hard to do. So, okay, but hard worker and taught you to do
absolutely hard worker,
to work hard, and obviously you got from your mom
running a little bit. I mean, I remember my mom was never home in the morning. Like before I went to school, I lived off of Honey Nut Cheerios is what I remember for breakfast. And but she would come home like right before I went to school, and I remember her sitting on the heater with a blanket over her to get warm, like after her cold runs and things like that. But my mom was a big road runner, marathon runner.
And did you do marathons at that same time?
I did 2 marathons. I did do 1 marathon with her when I was 22 years old. Untrained. I didn't train for it. And I thought that I could just muscle out 26 miles. Okay. I mean, at that point, my mom wasn't a fast runner. We walked a lot. We ran a little, it was a good mix of walking and running, but that was the first marathon I did, and I hated it. I hated running, period. I really didn't enjoy it.
Okay, so if it wasn't running when you were like in high school and stuff, what was it that you got excited about?
Nothing. I mean,
really?
High school was terrible for me. Like I didn't have a place where I fit in high school. Looking back now, high school was a very, I don't want to say dark, but it was a struggle for me. I didn't have good friends in high school. I didn't do extracurricular activities. I didn't do sports. I didn't do drama or anything like that. I didn't really feel like I knew where I belonged.
Well, and that's actually really helpful too, because I think there's a lot of us out there that feel the same way. I didn't have a great high school experience either. I didn't make it into the concert choir that I wanted to be in. And so, and all my friends did. And so then I was like kind of on my own. And the thing that I got out of it though, is that things got so much better. Since I didn't peak in high school, I actually had somewhere to go.
Things got better after high school, but high school was not. When my 20-year reunion came up, that was an easy pass. Yeah, there's no one there I care to go back and see. So,
and there's it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's people that have a great high school experience.
Absolutely.
And good for them. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. No, I totally relate to that. But things get better. And that's one lesson that we can learn when we're going through a really hard emotional sort of time when you're still kind of growing. You can get past that and just have hope.
Yeah. Which is hard to see when you're in it.
Yeah.
I remember feeling that and not being able to see what was ahead. And so it is much nicer to look back now.
Yeah, exactly. And all the things that you've been able to accomplish kind of on your own.
Right.
Yeah. So tell me about the family you have here and how you got to that.
Yeah.
That
so my husband and I have been married for 16 years now. We have 2 young kids. I have a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, and they're wonderful and I love them.
But they were a little hard to get here too, right?
Yes. So we were married for 7 years before I got pregnant with my son. We found out about 6 years into our marriage that I had severe endometriosis that they had to go in and clean out. It was on my bladder, on my bowel, on my intestines, on everything.
Oh my goodness.
And so they had to put me in menopause for about 9 months to like let it all die off. And then we quickly got pregnant with my son. And then with my daughter, it took me 3 years to get pregnant with her. And then we never got another one. And so we just keep trying to remind ourselves that we're perfect the way we are, even though we wanted more. Like that things are the way they're supposed to be.
In raising these children, like what are some of the things that you have found have been a struggle for you?
Parenting is a struggle every day.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just a struggle to know where to let them be and where to push them or where to let them learn a hard lesson or where to not save them from it, but cushion that blow and things like that. You know, it's hard to know what direction. The world today terrifies me for my kids as they get older. I stress about the friends that they will make. I stress about their experiences at school. I stress about all those things. And a lot of times it's obviously the situations I have no control over and I am not there. Right. I can't be there to help navigate them. And
so why stress over them?
Because I don't know what else to do. I only have 2 kids. I don't have more to keep me busy. So I just stress about the 2 all the time.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately too, about how we seem to need to have something to worry about.
Yeah.
Right. And so we make up all these stressors that really shouldn't be like that we have no control over, things that we have no control over. And then we decide that we're just going to be worried about it because we have time.
Yeah. I have my mother's worst case scenario mindset. I don't know if that's like a genetic.
It's normal.
But like,
yeah, it's totally normal.
My husband balances me out. He's a very optimistic. If my husband didn't text me that he got to work, he's probably dead on the freeway. I tend to stress. I worry about big things, even though I probably don't need to. I don't even know how to shut that off. It's something I could definitely work on, but Casey balances me out a lot. And so he's a good calm to my spinning. He's very grounded, like and rational. And I can get a big idea about something and he'll be like, but did you think about that part? I'm like, oh no, I didn't. Okay, never mind. Oh yeah.
Let's keep working on it.
Like he's the one person he's right more often than I am. And I'll admit it. Like, unfortunately, I am not always right. It is him.
It's probably not true.
No, do you know Casey?
I do. But
He is right all the time.
Okay, but see, that's what I think about my husband too. You'll say something and then they'll like counter it and you'll be like, oh yeah. But I don't think that's always true. I'm starting to realize actually I am right. And I'm trying to recognize the times when I am right.
Where I'm right is like, hey, have you seen a toy? And I'm like, yeah, it's downstairs in the basement in the 3rd drawer to the left. Right? That's where that toy is. That's where I'm right. Like, but big things.
Well, and I guess maybe that's it too. We take our things that we're good at.
Yeah.
So like probably parenting styles and stuff, you probably have it.
Oh, I have the bigger, I carry the bigger load, the mental load, all those things that I have to stay on top of and be right about. But
and the responsibility is there. And so you need to be able to step up and take care of that responsibility. And so as you do that, as you practice doing that, you get better at it.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And it's not like, and that's probably where Casey's at too. Like he's just gotten better at, he's a doctor or nurse, right?
Yeah.
And he
does a nurse anesthetist.
Yes. Nurse anesthetist. Can't say it.
I know.
but he's probably gotten very good at making quick decisions about things and being able to be right about those decisions because it's life or death.
It is.
He has to. So he's practiced that and gotten better at that. Let's get into the ultramarathons and how did you get into that?
Well, Casey and I have loved the mountains since we got married. Very early in our marriage, we, it's kind of funny how it came about, but Casey's Jeep, we got rear-ended one day and it caused a little dent in his bumper, and the insurance wanted to pay us like $1,000 or something for it. And Casey went and bought a can of spray paint and sprayed it, it's good enough. But we used all that money and we went and bought camping gear and backpacking gear with that money because we were super poor. He was in school and we didn't have, and we started backpacking, and we would go every year, like to the Tetons. And we would try to backpack. We built out on a little more each year, but we would try to backpack 100 miles. And we fell in love with just being in the mountains. We had our best conversations. We had the most fun together. We would talk about our life and how miserable we were, as far as he was deep into school and working, and we had no money and all these things. And we would talk about how hard that was. And we would talk about the next steps in life. Anyway, we would go on these adventures, and we loved the mountains. I wanted to start trail running with Casey right away. Felt like he couldn't do that. He had played volleyball a lot in high school. He felt like he had bad knees. Road running hurt a lot. And so we would camp, we would backpack, and we would really enjoy that. When I was pregnant with Hallie, we were living in Idaho at the time, and my sister was running the Bear 100 one fall, and she...
Tell me what the Bear 100 is.
So the Bear 100 is a 100-mile trail race that runs from, it starts in Logan City, and it runs to Bear Lake, and it runs through all the trails, like in Logan Canyon and things like that.
It's quite a bit of elevation up and down, right?
22,000 feet of elevation through the race.
Oh my gosh. But it's up and down.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You kind of just go, it literally is kind of almost like 5 miles up a mountain, 5 miles down a mountain, 5 miles up a mountain, 5 miles down a mountain, just kind of a lot of that. She needed a pacer. And for these ultra long races, many times for part of the race, they allow you to have a pacer, which is someone who you pick up at an aid station and they run with you for a section of the race. And it's their job just to keep you motivated. It's their job to make sure you don't quit. It's their job just to run beside you so you have someone to talk to, someone to take your mind off the trail, someone to pop your blisters maybe at the next aid station. But she needed a pacer. I think it was for about 15 miles is the section that she wanted him to do. And Casey agreed to do it. And we were in Boise. And so he started trail running while I was big, fat, and pregnant.
So he started it before you did.
You have no idea the resentment I felt every Saturday that he would go out and go running in the mountains. And I sat home with a kid and 80 pounds of baby.
Yeah.
Where
you would totally want to be.
Yes.
You wanted to be there, but at the same time.
And when I say I was big, fat, and pregnant, I was up to 200 pounds by the time I had both my kids. And I'm not even exaggerating.
Are you serious? I cannot even see that on you.
I was a whale. I could not move. I couldn't do anything. And shortly after that, COVID hit.
Okay.
And in Boise, the hospital there had a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. It actually made papers, but they had 54 CRNAs, nurse anesthetists. They fired all of them.
What? During COVID? That's crazy.
Because he was working at a hospital, and they are under anesthesiologists, right? But many of the anesthesiologists hadn't actually done any anesthesia there for quite a while, some of them years, because the CRNAs were the ones who did most of the cases. They were kind of the overseeing head if there was an emergency or things like that. They made sure everything ran smooth, but the CRNA was the one who would actually do it. Anyway, they had canceled elective surgeries during COVID, and so they fired all of them.
Wow.
And then immediately tried to backpedal because they were I guess we need them. Anyway, it was kind of a mess. And at the exact same time, he had a buddy here in Utah who called him up and said, me and my buddy are starting a new anesthesia business. We're starting a mobile anesthesia business, and you need to get down here. Okay. And Casey was like, okay.
Have no, like
so
no other options.
Like we got out of the contract on the home we were renting, and we literally just like within a couple of weeks like picked up and moved into my parents' basement because we didn't know how much money he would make at the time. This was a company starting by two guys that were starting their own anesthesia company, and one of them was still under like a non-compete with his old company, so he couldn't even work. So it was really Casey and his buddy who were pretty much doing all the cases for elite anesthesia. And so we just didn't know how it would even go. Anyway, and in May, we went on our first trail run with my sister and her husband. They've been doing ultramarathons since 1999. Alex ran his first 100-miler in 1999.
That's amazing.
When my sister saw that he could do it, she figured, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And so we've watched them. We have paced them. We have crewed them in almost all of their Utah races since.
Okay, so how many have they done and how many have you done?
Oh, Heidi is probably up to 19 or 20 100-milers by now. I don't even know how many. Alex, they both got 10 Wasatch 100 finishes, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
The Wasatch 100 is a really difficult one.
Finish it, what do you have to finish it in?
You have 36 hours.
36 hours. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine just walking 100 miles on flat ground.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we've watched them and been a part of their races for a long time. And to be honest, when you are in it, like a part of it, there's energy about it that you just feel like it just kind of feels bigger than you. And it kind of just feels amazing. And it feels fascinating that like, you just think, I want to do this. I want to be a part of it.
Is it like the epinephrine or whatever that gets,
I don't know. Cause I mean, anyone will tell you that wears off after a while. Like you get a runner's high and things like that, but then you get some runner's lows and things. Because it's a long time for things to change. And we always joke that the highs don't last, but the lows don't either. Like you go through a lot of emotion, but, so we started running in 2020. We just started trail running for fun. We didn't sign up for anything big or anything like that. In 21, I signed up for my first 50-miler, which was a June race. We did that with Heidi, and we finished that in like about 12 hours. And I thought, I could do that twice. If I just slowed down a little bit, I could probably do that twice. And so I signed up for the Bear. And I've done the Bear 5 times, and I love it.
Tell me what that was like, your very first race, like how you were feeling about it, and like how did you train?
So I have to be honest, I feel very privileged that I have had Heidi here. I mean, I have sucked up all of Heidi's knowledge, all of her
we'll share
all of her mistakes, all of the things she did right, all the things she did wrong. Like when we go on a run for 26, 27, 30 miles, that takes us 8 hours, 9 hours, depending. I mean, we have a lot of time that we talk, and I learn a lot from her and can ask her a lot of questions about nutrition and injuries and things like that. So running my first 100-miler, it was fun, but I went into it with an IT band injury, and I hurt every single step of that race. I think by mile 4, like I felt it.
Do you think that you should have not done it because of the injury?
No, IT bands hurt, but they don't necessarily get worse.
Okay.
I mean, it's an overuse injury, and once you stop...
Where's your IT?
It's like you feel it in the lateral side of your knee.
Okay.
It can often stem from your hip, but where you feel it is usually on the outside of your knee.
So you just hurt every time, every step.
Mm-hmm. And so I still had fun to do it. Like ultra running, you definitely have you have to have the right mindset to do it, because very few people are going to run 100 miles pain-free.
Right.
Like at some point, something's going to hurt.
So you just ignore it. And then most of the time it's okay. It just recovers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, once you stop, IT band injuries usually will just fix themselves after 6 weeks or something like that.
I think our bodies are really amazing that they can recover from everything. In fact, I was kind of thinking about it last night. I watched this documentary on the ocean. It's a David Attenborough. He was talking about all these trawlers that are destroying our oceans. Okay, you know, they're going over these beautiful coral beds and just like wreaking havoc, right? But there has been this worldwide commission that they're going to try to save 30% of the oceans, which is incredible, because right now it's like 3% or less than that is protected. Anyway, but he talks about these trawlers that are going on, but then they've had a couple places where it just got completely overfished and there were no fish left at all. And so they made these into preserves, basically.
Yeah, right.
And in just 5 years, everything came back. And I think that's how our bodies work too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, we hammer them and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be in a little bit of pain. So work through the pain and then you're going to recover from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've ever talked to a person who's finished 100 miles who doesn't say that something was hurting, something went wrong. We often say that the race, to do a 100-mile race, it comes down to race management. How are you going to manage the challenge that's going to come? Like, it's not if the challenge is going to come, it is going to come. And how are you going to handle it when it does?
Yeah.
And so
how do you do that?
So,
like, what are the things that you do?
I mean, for that, I had my sister came to pace me. Heidi came to pace me. Casey paced me during that race. And do you have
somebody that paces you the entire way, or just at certain sections?
It's usually always only for a portion of the race. And each race is different on when they allow you to have a pacer. At the Bear, they allow you to pick up a pacer at mile 37. At different races, I paced a friend at the High Lonesome race, which is out in Colorado. She couldn't pick up a pacer until mile 50. And that kind of was like, oh, you have to run 50 miles all by yourself. Like, kind of be sad. But some runners will run the whole thing solo. Some runners believe that adds an extra challenge to their race, and they want to run it.
Or they like to just be in isolation.
I think it's more the challenge.
Do you listen to anything while you're running?
I listen to a little bit of music, more on like the uphills and things like that, where I just maybe might need a little beat to keep my feet moving. But I love to talk during my races. I love to sing. I love to just have fun.
Do you have other racers that are right next to you and passing you?
I've made some of my best friends like during races. The thing that I've really learned about the ultra running community that's a little bit different, obviously, than a road running is that you want to talk. You can spend 10, 20 miles with some people because you're all in this for a very long time. There's a lot of walking in ultra running, right? Like, you have to. And like, you make amazing friends and you're all suffering together. And so you're actually all very much rooting for each other to succeed because you're all kind of doing something that's really difficult and not everyone can do. And at any moment, your race can go south. You can trip and fall and get an injury so bad that you can't finish. Oftentimes, it's a turned stomach. A lot of runners experience just vomiting out while they're out there on the race, and they have to decide, we call it a puke and rally. Can they throw up and keep going now that they feel a little bit better? Or is their stomach never going to come back online, type of thing and settle down to the point where they can finish?
Do some of them have to be taken off the course then?
Yep.
And they have different stations where
there's 8 stations usually around like maybe every 10 miles, maybe a little less, maybe a little more in sections. Oftentimes at the aid stations, obviously they have medical, they have volunteers there with all the food that you could want, from anything from chips and M&Ms to quesadillas, BLTs, sandwiches, fries, all sorts of things.
because you're running for 24 hours. You need to get some nutrition.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You often have a crew. They go to each aid station that they're allowed they'll bring you your change of shoes or socks or clothes and things like that. And so they'll help you and their job is to not let you stay at the aid station too long and to get you on your way. Things like that. So
wow. Well, and it's a very individual sport, which I feel like it works with having friendship and having more camaraderie rather than competition. Yeah.
Like I say, like in road running, you spend very little time usually talking or sharing a lot of miles because seconds make a difference in road running. Seconds per mile make a really big difference. Trail running, it doesn't matter. If you've made a good friend and they need to pull off to like go to the bathroom, you're like, okay, I'll wait here for you. And you just like sit there.
And I imagine the first couple races, the goal was really just to finish.
Yep. So my first race I finished in about 28 and a half hours.
Okay.
And so, I mean, to me, that was a great race.
How do you sleep?
Like you don't. You don't. Mm-mm. Nope. You never sleep.
So do you in preparation? Do you sleep for? No. You just sleep afterwards.
You do sleep for a long time afterwards. I always say that my race is on Friday, and I always say my most important night of sleep is Wednesday because Thursday night, I never sleep well. It's the night before the race. You're a little jittery and things like that. So I always would take Tylenol PM or something and go to bed at 6 on Wednesday night and try to sleep in the morning and try to get the best night's sleep I could.
Yep. So you don't, but you do walk a great portion of it. Are you generally walking as you're going uphill?
Yep. So, I mean, they'll call it power hiking, right? Like in my training, I literally pick a mountain to do every single week, once a week. And I do it. And the goal is to climb faster each week, right? It's a climb for time. So like oftentimes that was Timpanogos. Like my sister and I did Timp Tuesdays. And so we would try to get up Timpanogos as fast as we could. And I never try to go fast on the way down. I'm worried I'll like trip and fall and hurt something, roll an ankle, but it's always a climb for time. I've gotten very good at maintaining a very fast hiking pace while getting uphill.
How fast can you get up, Tim?
I mean, how fast do I get up, Tim? In 2. Yeah, it takes me three and like about 3.5 from round trip. I think is my fastest time.
That's pretty quick though. Yeah. I mean, that is really fast. I mean, I've done Tim probably in maybe twice the time. It's probably been my fastest.
I ran into your son one day when I was going up there.
Yeah, I know.
He was like, I know you. And I was like, I know you too. But that's a lot of my training is to work on, because uphills can kind of make or break your race. Now, there are definitely elite runners who can run. I mean, I know people who get up Timp in like an hour and some change, you know, like they can run their whole way up that and sprint their way down, and they're pretty amazing. But I've gotten very good at just maintaining a very solid
and just be consistent.
Yeah. I don't ever have to stop and take a break.
Yeah.
I don't ever have to do that.
This takes a lot of time though, like for training.
It does.
So, because that's like, so when do you train?
Usually the bulk of my training is in the summer. I usually hire a nanny who is willing to come over like 4 a.m. I try to do my runs super early in the morning so that I can be back to spend the day with my kids, right? So that I'm not gone all the time. But bulk of my training is in the early morning hours, 3 a.m. some days.
So when do you go to bed?
Oh, like as early as I can. I mean, my kids are getting older, which kind of stinks. It used to be I go to bed at 7 when they were little. It was great. Right now in the summertime, like it's more like 9:30, which is still early to a lot of people. But Casey's really good about like because he works, so oftentimes he can't go with me early in the morning. So oftentimes if I had a really early morning run, he'll let me go to bed a little early and he'll put the kids
and he'll get the kids down. Yeah. So when does he train then?
Oftentimes he might get in like one early morning run. He does a lot on the treadmill that's in our basement, you know, or on the weekends. We would call it our Saturday date. You know, we'd have a babysitter come over and we'd go spend 8 hours in the mountains, and that was always fun.
Wow. That's okay. So you have future, how many bears have you done then?
I've done 5. I did 5 in a row.
Okay. So tell me about each one of those, like how those went, because I'm sure they each have a story.
They do each have a story. So my first one was in 28.5 hours. The next year I wanted to finish in 27 hours. And I had made all my time charts that went from 27 hours to 36 hours, right? Like about what time I thought I would come into each aid station so that my crew could kind of gauge where I would be and when. I ended up winning that year for my second bear, and I finished in 23 hours and 20 minutes, which is a big deal to get under 24 hours in any 100-mile race. They just call it a sub 24.
And how many other people were in this race?
I think they take about anywhere from like 300, maybe 350 to do the race. I was the 15th overall.
That's incredible,
it was,
Allison. Wow.
It was something I did not expect. No one expected that. It was really surreal because I actually didn't even know I was in first place until I came into an aid station that was about at mile 70. And I had just passed this female runner on the road. We were running down and I told her like, hey, you're looking good. You're doing great. And I just ran down into this aid station. I was filling up my water bottle and I was drinking it. And this young girl who was crewing the aid station, she goes, I think that's our first female. And I went, what? And she said, you're our first female. And my pacer grabbed me by the shoulders and he was like, Allison, you have to freaking go. Like you could win this thing. And I was like, oh, like I knew I was probably going to get under 24 if I could maintain my pace. We were doing the math and things. And I was really excited about that, but I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's go. So we left that aid station together and I was obviously like, adrenaline was pumping. I was super amped. I dropped my pacer. Like he was like, you just go without me. Like I was running. I still had energy, which was really awesome. And I came into the aid station at 75 and my husband was there, my crew was there, and my next pacer was there to pick me up. And they were all like, you're in first place. You have to leave. Like, go. And my pacer was like, we're leaving. Like she was super amped. And Like she was really good. Like she was like checking her watch, making sure like we were staying on pace. She was like looking behind to like make sure like no one was coming up on me. She's like, I'll trip her if she shows up. It was, I don't know. It was very surreal to like have that happen when it wasn't the plan.
Expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much further was that other lady from you?
She actually finished in, I think like 25 and some change. So she actually finished like 2 hours after me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, and that's the thing, like sometimes we joke that like you can go out too strong and then you can just have something blow up, right?
Yeah.
Like you can have something
you just don't know. Yeah.
So, my third year, I set like a super lofty goal. I wanted to finish in under 23 hours. I wanted 22.
Okay, but first go back to the first one.
Oh, okay.
Second one. How was the recovery on that one?
The recovery was, I was sore. Like I'd never run that fast before for that long. Like, but it was okay. Like it wasn't terrible, but I remember being really stiff, like couldn't walk really well, and I slept a lot. And I feel like it's pretty normal for me to spend 3-4 good days mostly in bed after a race.
I can imagine.
Like and mentally, like I just needed that. Like you had just done something really big, and mentally, like I even think more than physically, like mentally, I just wanted to just lay and just be done and just be happy.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. And were you pretty happy after accomplishing that?
I couldn't, I have a trophy at home that's like this big.
That's incredible.
Like, and it's, I mean, it just, I don't know, like it was a dream come true because.
Well, and your kids look at that too, and it gives them something to work towards. And it is very noble to be a mother, but there is so much more to us, and our kids really look up to us when we pursue our dreams and goals.
Which I didn't realize how much you need that, right? Becoming a mom, I was a veterinary technician for like 13 years after high school before I had Trey. And as soon as I had him, I felt very strongly that I just needed to be home. But I lost part of myself when you don't go back to work and you don't get, obviously you don't get paid. So you have no physical representation of your work. You obviously don't have a lot of even verbal appreciation for the work that you do. And it's even hard to have, especially with little kids, it's hard to even have a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. Because oftentimes what you've done gets quickly undone. But right, like I clean my house and the second they come home, it's a bomb. Like it just feels like the never ending just cycle.
And you're just constantly working and you don't get a whole lot of recognition. You don't get compensation.
Nope. And especially even when you have young babies, they don't appreciate anything you do for them. You are giving them every ounce of your energy, of your body, of everything.
And just wait till you have teenagers.
To keep them alive.
Because then you get all the negative criticism that you're a horrible person. No, it's okay. There's a lot of really good things that come when they're teenagers too. But there's not a whole lot of gratitude.
I mean, like you just lose a lot of yourself. And having babies is the most amazing thing.
It is.
It is also the most rewarding thing. But those moments, I always say, are so small. But when I hear, like my daughter called for me last night, like I was with Casey and I hear her go, "Mama!" And I just like wait. And I heard Trey say, "Hallie, what do you need? I can help you." And those very small moments, I mean, Casey and I looked at each other and we said, "Oh, did you just hear Trey?" Like, those very small moments are very, and that sounds very small, but it's very heartwarming to see my son take care of my daughter and offer and to help her and be kind. But those are very small and far in between.
Well, and we don't mark them. We don't always mark them either because they probably aren't as small as you think they are. You know, like they probably happen more often. Yeah. But we don't always, because they've become so normal.
Well, and they're just overshadowed by the screaming that was happening 5 minutes before when they both wanted the same toy and things like that. And ultra running did give me, I mean, that definitely was truly, I mean, I did have a really great race, but that second race was the first time I felt like I was something more than a mom. There was something else I could do, something I could be good at. Yeah. That I didn't know that I could be good at that. Yeah. So it was really awesome.
We're about halfway through this episode of the Sendy Mom podcast. Our mission at Sendy Mom is to build, lift, encourage, persuade, and inspire women to live fearlessly I am super passionate about this, and I hope you feel this from this interview and every interview I have. I have totally loved getting to know some incredible people through this process. Help me to put more positive messages and energy into the world by sharing this episode, reviewing it, and liking it. Find Sendy Mom on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and online at sendymom.com. There is way too much negativity out there, so let's do more to encourage and inspire. I have an incredible lineup of women who are going to be aired in the next few months, so please keep coming back to hear more stories of courage and triumph. I am so excited for my next guest. She is a world record holder. Jen Drummond is a single mother of 7 children. She had a near fatal car accident and decided that she wanted to chase something bigger. Without ever having even slept in a tent, she set out to accomplish a world record as the first woman to climb each of the second highest peaks on every continent. You will love her story of personal triumph and learning where she is going from here. To receive an update every time a new episode is added, and for special bonus content, you can subscribe at sendymom.com, totally free. Check out my blog there that accompanies these episodes. I have full-on lessons learned. So look for the companion article for this episode to find out how Allison inspires me and how you can apply her tools to your life. You can also find out how you can be on the Sendy Mom podcast. I want to also really encourage you to come to the next Sendy Mom Tea Party. I will likely be having one in January, so look for an email from me about that. And if you're not on the subscription list, go to sendymom.com today and sign up so that you can find out when those tea parties are happening. If you want to host your own Sendy Mom Tea Party, please let me know. I will advertise for it on my social media platforms and use the hashtag Sendy Mom Tea Party. I am loving this conversation with Allison about ultra running. Who knew you could get so much from running a trail? When I first heard about trail running, I thought it would be so fun to just go for a nice hike in the mountains. I did not realize they were so far. The ultramarathons totally blow my mind. I never really realized that you could go 100 to 200 miles on a trail in a race, but our bodies, they can do amazing things. So just wait until you hear what happens in the rest of this episode. Yeah. Well, let's go to the third race then. What happened?
So my third race, I wanted to, it's not even that I was setting out to win again, although very nice perk, but I wanted a really fast race. I thought I could shave some time if I went faster during this, because obviously I wasn't pushing myself during that second race to win or to get a time. I was going to go for 27 hours. In fact, at one point in that second race, Casey was pacing me and we were going up a hill and I dropped him. And I got to the top of the hill and I sat on a rock and I waited for him. And I just sat there because Casey couldn't keep up with me. And I just sat and waited. And he said, "You didn't have to wait for me." And I said, "But I like running with you and we get some nice downhill up here." So I wasn't going to run it without you.
It can take a minute.
I wasn't taking that race like as a serious push. I was just having fun. And so the third race, I wanted to really push myself. So I started that race at the very front of the line, and I ran hard. And, I knew there were going to be some really fast females that year, but I wanted to finish in 22 hours. That was the goal that I had set. And so I was pushing really hard that race. And when I came into the aid station at mile 60, I was in second place. And I was only, I think they said I was like 15 minutes behind her, like totally within earshot.
You could catch her.
Earshot of this woman. And I left that aid station. I had a brand new pacer and I immediately got sick and I couldn't figure out why.
Like throwing up?
Sick? I was nauseous. I hadn't thrown up, but I've never had that happen. Not on a training run, not in a race. I've never had a turned stomach before.
Was it like nerves that was?
No, it wasn't. But because when we were hiking up, my pacer was like, maybe it's altitude sickness. And I was like, we are not that high. But, you know, like I was like, we've been running this high the whole race. It's not that. Like, I don't know what's wrong. I remember we got to the top of the climb and I mean, not to TMI, but diarrhea. Like I had like 5 bouts of diarrhea. I just kept like ducking in the bushes every few feet. I think I was done and we'd get back on the trail and I'd have to go duck back in the bushes.
Okay. So it was something seriously wrong with your body.
And so between the 2 aid stations where I would see my crew was 15 miles. And that 15 miles, I mean, it went on forever. And I mean, and it really didn't, but it felt like it did. I was so nauseous. I remember it was probably only 30 degrees in some of the sections that we ran. And I was like tucking my shirt up, like into my sports bra. Like I was so hot. Like I must have had a fever.
Yeah.
We came down off the mountain and we were heading up. We have to run a small section of road up to a lodge, a ski lodge to get to mile 75 where my crew was. And I told him, I said, go ahead, like get Casey. I laid down literally on the side of the asphalt on the road trying to cool. Like I had my shirt pulled up and I was just laying on the road trying to like cool down.
Oh.
And I couldn't move. And like cars were pulling over, like asking if I was okay. Runners were checking on me. And I was like, I'm fine. Like Casey's coming. And so they had to all come down the road and find me. And I probably stayed on the side of the road for maybe like 20 minutes before they could get me. I finally started throwing up. Once I threw up, they were like, okay, like, let's get you up to the lodge. Yeah. So, cause then I felt a little bit better. So they got me up to the lodge. At that point it was about midnight. And so I had gone 75 miles and it had taken me about 18 hours. And in my head, I was like, well, I could still get under 24. Like if I hustle, like I could still get under 24. And so
throwing up, diarrhea everywhere.
But I thought I was feeling better at the time. So I picked up a new pacer and we took off. And I mean, I'm not even exaggerating that I couldn't walk 20 feet at a time. Like my pacer was Max, and Max is the most phenomenal pacer you could ever hope for. He's the biggest hype guy. Yeah. And Max is also great because he can have an entire conversation with himself. Like you don't even have to talk. Like some people, like I want to be distracted when I have a pacer. I want them to talk. Tell me stories. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me anything. Max can do that for like 10 hours. Like you don't have to say a word. He's phenomenal. But he would tell me like, let's try to walk 20 feet. And I would get up off the trail because I'd been like laying down because felt so sick. And I would walk like 10 feet and I'd be like, I can't do it. And I'd lay back down. Wow. And I was just so sick. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink.
Well, and let's not forget, 25 miles is still a marathon.
It's still a long ways. Yeah. But to put in perspective, like it took me 18 hours to go 75 miles. And it took me 14 hours to go the last 25 miles.
But you did it.
I did. So I finished that race in 32 hours. I remember that there at mile 92, there's actually the steepest climb of the entire race is at mile 92. And it's only 0.7 of a mile. It's very short, very steep. And Max had to, at one point, I linked my arms around the crook of his arm and he quite literally pulled me, like drug me up that mountain because I physically couldn't get up. It took me, I think I looked at the time, I think it took me an hour and a half to get up
that section,
0.7 miles. Wow. Just because I had to keep laying down. I was so sick. So in my head during this race, I am thinking, this is a bad race. Yeah. Everybody I don't know that I know a single ultra runner who has done multiple 100-milers who hasn't had a bad race, who hasn't had a turned stomach, who hasn't had diarrhea, who hasn't had things go south, and they still pushed through. Yeah. And I was like, I can do this. There's no way they're tougher than I am. Like, I'm not going to quit. Like, in fact, I made it my goal when I was doing those last few 25 miles, I wouldn't even stop at the aid station still because I didn't want anyone tempting me or telling me that I didn't look good or things like that. Yeah. So I would walk right through. You're probably getting totally dehydrated though 100%. The whole time. Yeah. But I would walk right through the aid station. My number was 2 that year because I had won the year before. And I was like 2 in and out. And I would just walk through and I'd get through the aid station and then I'd lay down and I'd take a nap. And I mean, Max has 50 pictures of me asleep on the trail. Like he documented those last 25 miles really well.
Yeah.
But he's got pictures of me crying. He's got pictures of me puking. He's got pictures of me, like, he's got them all. Pictures of me. He has a video of him dragging me up that mountain. And while he's still like hyping me up, like, we're going, baby, like, we're doing it. And I'm like dying.
Wow.
So I finished that race. And I was the most sick I've ever been. They actually had to like wrap me up in a blanket to get me into the car. I physically couldn't stand. In fact, I remember when Max was taking me up that hill, I remember thinking to myself, why don't my legs bend? You can actually see in the video, I'm kind of swinging my legs, bow-legged, like out to the side. I remember feeling like my hip flexors had been cut off, type of, like I couldn't raise my knee. I couldn't march.
Yeah. Wow.
I finished that race. I physically couldn't walk myself even to the car to go. We had rented a cabin up there, and we got back and they still had to carry me in a blanket, like burrito me up and pull me in and put me on the bed. And that was the worst night of my life. I remember being so sick and begging to Casey to stop the pain. And he was like, what do you want me to do? And I just said, just make it stop. And he's like, I can't do anything. And he would ask me, like, do I need to take you to the hospital? And I'm like, no, because I thought I was just sick. You know, from the race, I had to crawl on my hands and knees to use the bathroom. But the first time at
that point, you should know, go to the hospital, right?
When I went to the bathroom, I had to crawl on my hands and knees to use the bathroom. My pee was black. Which is
that's scary.
And Casey and I both knew what it was immediately.
Yeah.
That it's a big sign of having rhabdo.
Rhabdo. Okay, explain rhabdo.
Yeah. So rhabdomyolysis is when, oftentimes in a big endurance event, your body is obviously trying to break down things for energy, right? Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, your body decides to break down your muscle.
Interesting. Okay.
So when your body breaks down your muscle tissue, it releases a substance called myoglobin into your bloodstream. And so when you get all this myoglobin into your bloodstream, it is obviously your kidney's job to filter that out.
To clean it.
And have it exit through your pee, which is what my pee was like, you could see sediment, like coffee grounds in the bottom of it. And it was this grayish black color.
Were you like totally freaking out?
Yeah. I mean, I came out of the bathroom crying and I said, I have rhabdo. And Casey's like, okay, well, the first treatment for rhabdo is intense IV fluids. And luckily, Casey's a CRNA. We have to stock IVs and fluids and things at our house all the time for the cases he does. So he had IV fluids there ready to go. Like we'd already planned on doing that to help with recovery. So he hooked me up to an IV and gave me like 2 liters of fluid. So I had a terrible night. I was sick. What had happened that I didn't know right off the bat is my kidneys had gone just they can get completely clogged up with all that myoglobin.
Okay.
And they just shut down, which is why they try to flush it out with a lot of IV fluids, right? Immediately, if you have those signs, because if they can just flush it all out, then everything just gets
starts
back
working
to normal.
Again. Yeah, because our bodies heal themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So we went home on Sunday and I just laid in bed. I felt super sick. I was still feeling nauseous. I still was crawling to the bathroom. My legs just had nothing to hold me up.
Yeah.
And we had, like, Casey had to go back to work on Monday. He had people come in and check on me, bring me meals. They would help me walk, like, to use the bathroom. But it wasn't.
But you still had these 2 kids to take care of too.
Yeah. Well, so it wasn't until Wednesday, Casey was working. I think he was working from home because I needed somebody there. And I had gotten on the scale. And I was probably up at least 20 pounds. And I still was only peeing very small amounts, maybe twice a day. And Casey was asking me, like, are you peeing? And I'd be like, yeah, but it's only a little bit. And he'd be like, okay, well, if you're peeing
a little bit,
then your kidneys are working. And he was just kind of hoping that they would
kick in. Right.
But by Wednesday, I remember I walked out of my room and I lifted up my shirt to show him my abdomen. And I looked like I was 6 months pregnant. Like,
really,
my whole trunk, I had no figure. I was just massive.
Yeah, just like bloated. Yeah.
And he said, like, okay, like now we're risking like damaging your organs, like, because you're retaining so much fluid and we need to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so, like, I got to the hospital and we went to the ER.
That's because your kidneys are blocked up so that it wasn't going through.
No, I wasn't creating any urine. So your body's just absorbing all this fluid, right?
Okay.
And so we went to the hospital and they immediately are like, okay, like sounds like rhabdo. So they like put in like a IV in me and hooked me up to fluids, like while they ran some blood work. And they were like, hey, well, the treatment for rhabdo is IV fluids. And we're like, okay, like we've been doing that. And so they came back 20 minutes later with my labs and they turned off all the fluid. And they were like, well, you're in full kidney failure. You're in full liver failure. And so we can't give you any more fluids.
Yeah. So that at that point, what were you going to have to do?
So at that point, they admitted me to the ICU and they were like, we're going to have to do dialysis. Like, your kidneys are completely shut down. And so they had to put a port in my neck, a central line type thing in my neck. And they admitted me to the ICU and I started dialysis treatments in the ICU. I was in the ICU for 7 days, which a lot of it is a blur. I was on a lot of pain meds, it wasn't even pain from the race, but the interesting thing is when I was retaining so much fluid, I couldn't breathe because I just had not fluid
pushing on your lungs.
Not fluid in my lungs, but just all around.
Yeah,
right. Like my lungs,
and you can't breathe.
My lungs couldn't expand, and it was painful to breathe, and it was also panic inducing. Like I was on oxygen and things like that, but like to try and breathe. At one point, I remember. It was like, it had to have been my first night there because they had just put the line in my neck and I was struggling so much to breathe. And Casey was propping me up with his hands, like behind, trying to get me in a better position to try and like breathe easier. And I was just crying. And it wasn't until the nurse was like, we need to get you more pain meds that I could finally relax and breathe better. And so that stay was just, it was hard. Dialysis is hard. They take all your blood out, put it through a big machine and pump it all back in. And it just leaves you feeling.
Is it like at both arms or something like that?
From the line in your neck.
Okay, got it. Oh.
And it just ends up leaving you feeling terrible. Like it for whatever reason, like it just makes you feel like you have no energy. I always had a bad migraine afterwards. You just feel way worse than,
and
even
how
though
often
it's helping.
Do you have to do that?
I had to do it. In the hospital, they were doing it about every other day and they would pull fluid off. So as they filter the blood, they could actually remove some of the excess fluid that was in my body. Right. And they had to do that so that I could breathe easier and things like that. I probably did that about every other day in the hospital. After the 7 days in the hospital, I had to be on outpatient dialysis. So they put they call it a tunneled catheter. So then they made an incision in my chest and tunneled a catheter up into my jugular, which then goes all the way down, like right by your heart, like the catheter itself. It's like this long.
Oh my gosh, in your chest.
It's so long. Anyway. So
do you just have to close your eyes while they're doing that and just not think about it?
I didn't know it was that long at the time. I just barely learned how long it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had to have dialysis 3 times a week. They're 4-hour sessions every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wow.
So I'd get it done on Monday, which left me feeling terrible. On Tuesday, you felt completely wiped out. And then you went back to do it again on Wednesday. So the only day I felt somewhat like even remotely okay was on Sunday because I had no dialysis on Saturday and Sunday. By like Sunday afternoon, like I was like, starting to feel good. I feel okay. And then went back to dialysis on Monday.
Kind of like chemo, I guess.
Yeah. Like just hard.
Yeah.
I had to do that for about like 3 weeks. And then by then, my kidney values had come down. They were able to, obviously.
And your kidneys started working.
Yep, my kidneys started working again.
Wow.
So,
yeah. Will it cause you problems later on?
It shouldn't. Like I check my kidneys actually before races just to make sure that I'm not going in with any predisposition because I obviously don't want.
You don't want to have to do that again.
I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah. And then you did it again. You did another bear.
I did. I've done 2 more since. So, the next year I purposefully put myself on the wait list. Like I let the race fill up and then I signed up so that I would be a little on the wait list because then I knew I'd have more time to see how my recovery went, right? Because they actually opened up registration. It's like the 1st of November. Oh. And so by November 1st, I had to know, like, am I going to
do this in September?
Yeah, another race. And so anyway, so I signed up, but I was like 50 deep on the wait list. So I actually got off the wait list in like July. And by July, I was like, I can do this again. And so I had a really great race. I finished in 24 hours and 54 minutes, like just shy of 25.
Wow.
So I actually had,
yeah.
and I had no idea how that race would go either, because I went in with no time expectation, no goal.
Yeah.
I was Casey.
What a great comeback.
Yeah,
though,
like
to
Casey was like, I have the ultimate like plug on this. If I have to pull it, like you're out. And so, I mean, we had decided, obviously, even talking with my nephrologist, my kidney doctor, and things like that, he's like, as long as you're eating and drinking, you should be fine to race. But if you go into some sort of distress, gastric or things like that, you should probably stop.
If you're going to go, if you're throwing up, if you're having diarrhea, then done.
Then you should just stop.
Over.
Right. Yeah. Like since I've gone into Rhabdo, that means that it doesn't necessarily put me at a predisposition to do it, but we know that I can. We know that my body will go into Rhabdo, because I mean, 350 people, I think, ran that race that year. And there was one other girl that I think ended up in Rhabdo. I don't know. I don't think it was as severe as mine, but like 2 people got it. Like it happens. Yeah. But not like to 50% of the people, you know, like it can happen for sure. But
so you felt like you had more control over it this time because you knew.
I felt like I learned and I could monitor things really well. And I made sure I was drinking more. Obviously, I pay a lot of attention to that during the races. I made sure I was peeing, you know, often and things like that, making sure that was fine. Do you
just drink water? What's your nutrition?
I mean, I drink my nutrition is candy during the races.
That's good to know.
I live off of jelly beans and Tootsie Rolls and Swedish Fish during races. And, and then I try to drink like an electrolyte drink or something like that that will help replace electrolytes as I run.
Okay. So, do you take caffeine at all?
Some of the electrolytes have caffeine in them. I do start off the morning with a little bit of caffeine, more so I can use the bathroom when I want to, but really like, you know, after that, not much. Okay. So you just kind of,
power through. Yeah. Okay. So then, the fourth one was 24 hours. Yeah. It was great. Mm-hmm. And did Casey run that one as well?
No, he was supposed to run that year. He actually had an injury and had to pull out like 2 weeks before the race. Okay. Like he just knew that there was no way he was going to run 100 miles with it. He had, we actually thought it was an IT injury, and it ended up being that like his patellar head was out or something. And once he got it popped back into place,
he was okay.
100% pain-free.
That's incredible.
It was. And he was really frustrated because we totally thought it was IT band the whole time. And had he known and just gotten that adjusted, because he can put it back in himself. And once he popped that back into place, 100% pain-free.
Wow. So, but he did it this year. But you also had an injury like during the summer.
So I had, what did I have this summer? I can't even remember. I can't keep
split your knee open.
I did.
Really bad.
So no, that was actually last year that I split my knee.
Last year?
It was last year.
Oh, okay.
So, because I remember when I was offered the invitation to run the race, my knee was still like in stitches. And I was like, hope that's better by the time I have to race. But I fell on a buttery smooth trail. I tripped on like a tiny rock and landed on a root that was sticking straight up from the trail, busted my knee wide open. Like I could see like my bone, and it was terrible. And I was still like 2.5 miles from the car. And so we had to, luckily Casey was with me, and he was smart, and he was like, I had sleeves with me that day because we started and it was kind of chilly. And so we took a sleeve, tourniquet it, and covered it up because I can't see that. Like that would make me. No,
I'm sure it was like, because it was deep.
It was really deep.
Yeah.
And I can't look at that. So he like tied it off and we ran back to the car. Yeah. And went back to the IC or to the ER.
Yeah. But that puts you down for a little while from your training.
Yeah.
And everything.
This summer I had a really good training year. I trained with Casey because Casey had signed up for the Bear this year, and we really wanted to do it in under 24 hours together. So because Casey had been working really hard and he really wanted to hit that goal. And I had now done 2 races because last year I was almost minute for minute on my exact times from my winning year until I hit mile 75. And I didn't train very good because I obviously between the knee splitting open and obviously recovering, like I only had like 6 good training runs. And in fact, what happened is at the very end of August, I got sicker than a dog, and I did nothing but walk on my treadmill for like the last 4 weeks. I couldn't run because I would cough so bad. Yeah. And so anyway, my training was terrible. Okay. So by the time I hit 75, I was like the exact same times for my winning year. Okay. But I got such bad cramps in like the bottoms of my feet and things like that I couldn't I like physically couldn't run.
So
it would totally cramp up.
And that's because you hadn't trained very well. So you just,
totally from
if you
under
train,
training.
okay, then you're.
So I had done really well. And so Casey was like, you've proven that you can do 2 races and follow basically the same pattern. So he's like, so I want you to pace me for my race, essentially for the whole thing, and get me a sub 24. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
We're on.
So this race,
so you paced him. You did not race.
I raced it, but like I was essentially his pacer because he just tried to stay with me. Like I was essentially setting the pace, and his goal was to just stay with
Follow
me.
you.
Yeah. And that would get us a sub 24. And I mean, it's been I can't even tell you, it's been my dream to run a full 100 with Casey. He did a 100-miler a few years ago. He did the Wyoming Range 100. Okay. And I paced him it ended up being about 70 miles of that race.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, we had so much fun. Like we sang and we joked and it was just, it's my happy place when I'm out there with him. I don't know. I feel like some people would get sick of their spouse, like out there for that long together. And we just don't. Like we just have a lot of fun and good memories. And so this race was a blast. I mean, we had so much fun. And until again, mile 75 seems to be a bad place now that I'm thinking about it. I keep saying it. But we got to mile 75, that aid station. And, we were totally on
course.
Yeah. To get our time. Yeah. To get our time goal. And we left 75 and Casey got what's called the runner's lean. I don't know if you've ever heard.
Nope. What's that?
The runner's lean. Essentially like the left side of his back was almost like, I don't know if it's necessarily that it was cramping up, but then the right side of his back also couldn't engage. And Casey literally spent the last 20 miles with a hard lean to the left.
And that's normal? That happens?
It happens. Okay. I wouldn't say it's normal. They often think that it's due to an electrolyte imbalance for whatever reason. But Casey physically could not stand up straight. He couldn't make himself stand up straight. Like he literally, these muscles like wouldn't work.
They tapped out.
Yeah. And so like even with poles, he had poles and he even couldn't push himself to stand up straight. And luckily, good old Max, my favorite pacer, was there. And Max is also like 6'4". Okay. And I mean, for 20 miles, Max basically like had Casey put his arm around him and he propped him up. And we basically walked in the last 20 miles together because he couldn't run like that. Like he couldn't run crooked. Like he tried. He was super, he was tripping and things like that and off balance and things like that. So we walked and that was okay. Like they sang Lean on Me together. I have video of it. Like it was adorable. So cute. But I mean, we kind of took shifts. Like I would try to like help prop Casey up, but I'm a full foot shorter than he is. So I'm not super handy. Yeah. But I mean, even in that time, he had a great attitude and I wasn't all the time he'd be like, you can go if you want. And I'm like, I'm not.
The point of this
leaving.
is to finish together.
Yeah, like I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. And so like we walked across the finish line together. Like I kind of did my best to prop him up while we crossed the finish line together and things. And I mean, so Casey has a history of just blowing up on long runs. I can't tell you how many long runs we did this summer where he was puking afterwards. Really? And we figured it was totally due to not managing the heat. Like if he gets overheated, he starts puking.
Really?
Like, it just like clung. And the weather looked great for the bear, but we were also very prepared with extra ice bandanas. I even carried extra water during a lot of the race to douse him with. Like we felt like if we could manage him with the heat, that he would have a good race. And he did. We did a really good job of that. He didn't puke at all other than that runner's lean. We really had a perfect race. Like not even a lot of pain to talk of and things like that. Like a really great race.
Yeah. And what did you make your?
We finished in 27 hours.
Okay. Because of that last 20.
Yep. We just had to walk in and still that's still a really great race. And we went back to the cabin that we were staying at and Casey went to the bathroom and Casey came out of the bathroom and said, I'm in Rhabdo.
Because you had already been through it. So you knew. I
went and looked at his pee and I'm like, oh yeah. You are in Rhabdo.
Wow. So did you immediately get him to the hospital at that point?
No, we had fluids. I had 4 liters of fluids with me.
So you thought you'd try that first? Yeah. Okay.
So before he even took a shower, like we laid a blanket over the bed and we let him lay down, and I hooked him straight up to fluids, and I gave him, because Casey's a Great Dane, so to me, so I can place an IV in him. It's just fine. Yes, I did it in dogs, so I can do it in him.
That's true.
So he's basically a Great Dane.
Yeah.
So I put an IV in, and we gave him 2 liters of fluid. And that night he was like the same. He's like, I probably peed like a tablespoon. And so I was like, okay. I was like, tomorrow morning we'll give you 2 more liters of fluid. And if you don't pee, like, we're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
So we woke up in the morning, gave him 2 more liters of fluid. And I don't know that he ever peed again after that. So we packed everything up.
Yeah.
We drove straight to the hospital back here, because I knew that there's a good chance that it would be
the same thing. You were going to go through it again.
So it was very...
How was that for you? Like, just remembering, like, did you have some trauma from the first time?
Absolutely. But the trauma for me was that I knew how miserable he was. Like, Casey didn't know how much pain I was in. Like, he didn't know how miserable.
I guess you guys have this shared trauma now.
Yeah, because he had to care for me. So he also knew how hard it was to help care for someone who's in that situation. But I got him straight to the hospital, and by that night they had a central line in his neck and had him on dialysis by that night, which is even faster than they did it for me. Same exact experience. He couldn't breathe. By the time in the hospital, he probably put on about 20, 25 pounds.
With just fluids.
It's just fluid. They would actually, he's so big, right? They would take off, every time they did dialysis, they would take off 4 liters of fluid. If you think of like just those like 2-liter bottles, like 2 of those bottles of soda type
That's
thing.
Incredible.
Every time. And he was doing dialysis sometimes multiple days in a row. He was in the ICU for 8 days.
And he's still recovering. This has been like 2 months ago. Yeah.
So he's doing great, obviously, but it was almost identical to, I would have probably been in the ICU longer had I gone in earlier,
right.
But we waited until Wednesday. We went on Sunday with him. I was really hoping that it would be shorter for him. And it just wasn't. He was there for 8 days. They put in a tunnel catheter. And
the same thing,
about 3 weeks of outpatient dialysis before he got it out. And that's how I now know how long the catheter is, because I was there when they took it out, and when they pulled it out of his chest and it was this long, I was like, that was in me. I always pictured it being like just like this long, and it was like this long.
Wow.
So that's how I know. I slept at the hospital I stayed at the hospital around the clock. I would go home for 2 hours each morning to help get my kids off to school. My parents stayed with my kids, and I would go home from 7 to 9 to get them off to school. And then I'd go back and I'd sleep and stay there, because I just couldn't, because I knew too much.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I knew how hard it was for him to breathe. Right. I think after he was there for 2 days, they wanted him to stand up.
Yeah.
It took like 2 people to just stand him up out of the bed. They got him to stand on a scale to check his weight. And he was like, that's all I can do. And he sat right back down and laid right back down.
Yeah.
He was asleep for 90% of the time he was at the hospital. Wow. He doesn't remember much of it. He's on pain meds and things. The nurses remembered me. So that
from
was
the
fun.
last time.
The intensivist remembered me.
Oh my goodness.
One of the nurses walked in at the night, and he put his arm around me, and he's like, oh, how the tables have turned. Like... Oh man.
Wow. But now both of you know experience teaches, I guess. So what has this experience taught you? Would you do it again?
Knowing the good things that came out of both of these experiences, I would do mine again.
Really?
I had good things that came. One of the best things I had that came was a friend, which I know sounds kind of sappy, but I had a woman who lives in Colorado. She had noticed my name on Peloton, and you can see people's names that they create for themselves. And right, my name is Miles and Mountains, and and my hashtag that was underneath it was Run 100 Miles, and she's an ultra runner. She said, that's my type of people. Yeah. So you can choose to follow them, and then you can see when they're in classes with you. And so here's this woman that I don't know that she even exists. And the funniest part of this whole the whole story is that she had noticed that I wasn't in the classes all of a sudden, that I wasn't in any of the live runs and things that she would see me in. And she said she was on Instagram one day and she was just scrolling through the Explorer or whatever. And she saw a picture of my finish line photo from the bear that year. And she said, who finishes a race and looks like that? Because I run with my hair down. And
you do.
You know, and I'm one of very few women who will run with their hair down for an entire 100-miler. So she clicked on it, totally hating me, kind of in a way. But my name is the same on Instagram as it was there. And she said, that's the same girl. And then she saw my post about being in the hospital. And she said, that's why she hasn't been. So she started messaging me and she became fully invested in my recovery. She would check in on me multiple times. And anytime I would get out to go for a walk or do anything, she was like in my inbox, cheering me on, just as sweet and as genuine as a person could be. And I just was like, who is this woman? And why is she so nice? She and I have become best friends. There's not a single day that she and I don't talk.
Really?
Not one.
Wow.
I mean, and I got to meet her this summer for the first time. We've now been friends for about 1.5 years. And we don't know each other much more than texting and doing some workouts together. I got to go and pace her at her first 100-miler. And that was the first time I got to meet her. And she's the most beautiful, genuine, kind person I've ever known. And
had you not had all of that happen,
there's no way.
Yeah.
And she came out and paced me at this last bear. She picked up her family and drove them out to Logan for basically a day so that she could be a part of my race and pace me. It's just, she's a part of my life that I've been missing forever. Like when I say, like in high school, I didn't have good friends. I didn't have close people in my corner. And as an adult, you're married and the person in my corner is Casey. And I'm always grateful for the amazing friend that he is to me. But adult friendships are even like harder than young friendships because now not only do I have to get along with you, but hopefully our husbands get along together too, kind of, so that maybe we can all like get along together. But like adult friendships are hard when you have kids. It's hard to find someone to connect with. And that, like I say, there's not a day that she and I don't connect. I mean, she's the girl who I text about the giant zit that I have on my face that day. And the next day on my doorstep is her magic zit cream that she likes to use, that she ordered off Amazon for me, you know, like.
Wow. But I mean, how do you get a friend like that? You know, people that.
Right. I mean,
that's amazing.
I told her the other day, you know, obviously because we talked a lot while Casey was going through all this. And I said, I would do it all again if it meant having you. Like
being able to meet you. It's incredible.
And Casey going through this, truthfully, we saw miracles in our life happen.
The point is that we have to go through hard things to be able to be made strong.
Better, to learn the lessons that you need that make you a better person. And they all require a difficult effort.
An effort to overcome it, because that's how you grow. That's how you become. And you know, and going back to this whole idea of misogys, you know, it used to be that those were built into life, you know, those hard things, you know, just surviving.
Life was harder.
Right. And now we don't have those hard things. We have very comfortable lives. And so if we don't put ourselves into these very difficult places, when are we ever going to see miracles? We can't see miracles unless we have difficulties. So celebrate those. And if you don't have them, then find them and make them.
Right. That my kids see those things, right? Like I did feel at times very sad for Trey. And so now he's like, okay, well, my mom almost died. And now my dad's, you know, is he going to die? He gained a lot. I mean, he saw people pitch in. He saw people take care of us. He saw wonderful things come from something terrible, you know, and those are important things to witness and to remember. And they will help shape him. And like they help shape us.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, no. And what an incredible life lesson to have of that. It's not what happens, it's how you respond.
Right.
To those things.
And one of the most beautiful parts of my bad race was I was at probably mile like 95. I was almost to the finish and I I was broken. And I sat down on a rock and I was sobbing. And I looked behind me up the trail, and here was my sister. And my sister was coming down the trail. She came and sat and put her arm around me, and then she walked the rest of the race in with me. I mean, it's so slow.
Yeah.
She actually could have gotten a sub 30, which is a completely different belt buckle. If you get under 30 hours, they have something for under 24, under 30, and under 36.
Okay.
And she totally could have finished in under 30 hours. And she, I mean, just stayed with me.
Just chose to be with you.
I mean,
so being able to notice the sacrifice.
Right. And we finished that race together, hand in hand. You know, there have been good things that came, and lessons and things to be grateful for, even though really hard.
So will you keep doing it?
I will. Yeah. If I can find some friends that will be running some races that I know that I could train with. I feel like I've met some of the best people in my life. It's your very tribe. Genuine people.
Yeah.
And I really love that about all of them.
That's incredible. I love it. Okay. We could go on forever, but I have some rapid fire questions for you. So what has brought you joy in the last 24 hours?
Snuggling with my kiddos.
So good. All right. What about a favorite vacation spot?
My husband and I have been going to Kauai lately, and it's funny because we go to Kauai and we run. Like, I like Kauai because it's quiet. Like, of all the islands, like, it's still small, like small towns. We'd go for like a morning trail run out in the mountains somewhere, and we'd be done by like 1 or 2 o'clock, and we'd lay by the pool and just take it easy.
It's
and
funny,
it was
like
perfect day.
Listening to you, like all of this stuff, it should make me feel like, oh, I don't ever want to do that. Like have all this Rhabdo, but it's like inspiring me. It makes me like, I want to get up in the mountains. I want to go running. And
I do love all that time. I love the nature. I love the animals. I love the green. I love all of that stuff. It just, road running to me, you could shoot me in the face, but trail running, like when someone's like, you want to run 50 miles? I'm like, yeah, like that's like 12 hours in the mountains. Like that's my perfect day. Like that's exactly what I want to do this weekend.
That's awesome. Well, good. And what do you think I should try next?
I would take you up in the mountains anytime. I mean, I know you like to try a lot of things.
I would, and I would totally hold you back because I would not be very fast.
That's the thing. Like, that's what I have loved is like, oftentimes, especially during training, it isn't about the pace or how fast you get somewhere. Like it's about who you're spending time with. Like it's about the company. Lots of times I've run with people slower than me or faster than me, but it's about like just spending time together and just enjoying
and getting to know each other better.
Right? Like it's just
a deeper level.
Yeah. So I really have loved the time that I spent
Okay, well,
out
let's
there.
do it. Let's plan a time.
I'll take you up to him next summer on a Tuesday morning.
Yes, let's do it. I'm there.
I have easy trails I could take you on. That would be so much fun.
Okay. I would love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for being with us on Sendy Mom today. This has been an incredible conversation. I feel like I have gained a lot, and I've learned a lot about being able to muscle through a lot of really hard things and creating your own difficulties so that you can have miracles.
No, it's true.
For real.
I love what you said. You can't have miracles if you don't have hardship.
Yeah.
Like that has to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. So hope you have an incredible Sendy day today, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
In the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, do something every day that scares you.